Happy October. Hello, Soul Fam. How are you? Welcome back. And if you're new to my channel, welcome. All right, everybody. So I want to talk to you guys about emotions, trauma, and healing. Actually, what I really want to talk to you guys about is something that I've been recognizing and noticing. So I need my water. I've been noticing a pattern in a lot of people that are about my age. And for those of you that don't know, I will share my earthly age with you. My earthly age is 44. So I've been noticing a pattern with a lot of people that are roughly around my age, even a little bit older than me. The ones that are waking up, consciously waking up, spiritually, and the ones that are doing their shadow work, their inner work. I'm noticing that they're becoming more empathic, consciously empathic, more open when it comes to talking about their feelings, allowing themselves to be more vulnerable. Being vulnerable is something that a lot of us struggle with. At least a lot of people that I know and talk to struggle with being vulnerable. Hell, I struggled. I still struggle with being vulnerable. They're doing this because they're healing. Now, in order to heal, they're going within and going within themselves, and they're talking about their traumas. Either they're talking to counselors, or they're making videos about it, or they're just bringing it up more and more to their friends and their family. Either way, they're talking about their traumas. They're actually talking and expressing themselves. They're talking about their traumas, and they are facing their demons. Not only are they facing their demons, and I'm air quoting demons because when I say that, it's literally just they're shadow boxing. They're doing the inner work, and they're bringing, they're dealing with the darkness that's within them. That's what I consider their demons. And they're starting to share their dark experience publicly. Again, either it be publicly, with their friends and family, or on a platform like YouTube or TikTok, and they're talking about it globally, or they're talking to, some sort of a psychologist or something like that. They're talking about and sharing their experience, their emotional, traumatic experiences. Most are realizing, and they're tracing back their pain and trauma to their childhood. And I know I've talked about this in a lot of my other videos, but I kind of wanted to bring a lot of the things that I talk about in other videos and kind of like put it together in this video and share with you guys what I've been experiencing and noticing within the last, I've been experiencing it for a while, but within the last year, this year in 2022, it's been a lot more people doing this. So a lot of their pain and darkness was created when they were young. I know that's the case for me. So a lot of what I'm sharing today is a lot of what I've experienced, and of what I've, I'm also sharing what I've been noticing from other people that have shared with me. Okay. So a lot of the pain and darkness was created when, we were young, resulting in childhood trauma that has made their life so emotionally awkward and difficult all through their years. Some are starting to realize that the traumas are the reason why they behave the way they have been behaving, or the way they have behaved in the past. So they're blaming their behavior, not really blaming, but the reason for their behavior is because of the pain that they were holding and the traumas that, you know, they've dealt with and that they've experienced. Okay, so I started to notice that a lot, not everybody, but a lot, a good majority of the people that were born in between the 1970s and the early 80s era, and they're the Gen X, the Generation X era, like me, Gen X, are going through a lot of this, what I'm going to talk about today. Not just Generation X, okay? And it's not only the people that are from the 1970s to the 80s are going through this. I'm just noticing, this is me noticing that a lot of people from that era are starting to go through what I'm about to talk about today. And they're dealing with a lot of what I'm about to talk about today. Also, not just the Generation X era. Also, there are some second and third wave indigos that are going through what I'm about to talk about today. And the second and third wave indigos are souls that have had a lot to deal with in their life. Okay, a lot of injustice. They've dealt with a lot of injustice in this world, whether that was through their parents, the social structures in society, or just through, you know, unfortunate life events in their life. Yet, you've experienced darkness and you had no option except to choose to stay positive, to be a light, to show up through pain and take on the role and responsibility to purify the toxic environment that's all around you in order to stay alive. That's what the second and third wave indigos had to deal with. That's what Generation X had to deal with just to survive. Now, I'm not saying that only Generation X and second and third second and third wave indigos are dealing with this or were dealing with this. I'm just sharing with you what I'm noticing, what the pattern that I'm starting to see, and I'm starting to notice, you know, the ages of the people that are dealing with a lot of the stuff that I'm about to talk about today. So we are the generation, and when I say we are the generation, if this video resonates with you, then you are part of this we are the generation era, okay? Rather you are Gen X, Indigo, second or third wave, or, you know, whatever era you come from. We are the generation that raised ourselves. And I'm going to, for the sake of this video, I'm talking about the Indigos and the Gen Xers because that's the pattern I'm noticing. So we are the generation that raised ourselves. We are the Indigos and we are the Generation X. Our parents were either stuck in their hippie phase of, you know, like peace and love for, you know, just to be peace and love, or peace and love and, you know, sex and drugs, because they were just like happy, you know, just doing whatever and nobody judged them. They just did whatever and they were happy about it and they were peaceful about it. And it's whatever. And this is no judgment. Okay. I'm just saying what I feel. Okay. Or they were just indigos from their generation that were unable to integrate and grow and heal from their traumas. So because they couldn't heal from their traumas, they had children and their traumas passed down to us. But because they couldn't heal from their traumas, a lot of them turned to drugs and alcohol to mask the pain, all of their pains, resulting in addiction and most likely divorce. If they were married, most likely divorce. And some were transitioning from hippie to corporate employment, making themselves so busy in their work life that they had no time for family. They didn't balance work and family. They just worked and worked and worked and kind of forgot that they had a family. Their mind was just focused on working, making that money, paying that mortgage, paying that car note, putting food in the cupboard. And I don't even think they realized they had kids at home. I don't even know what they realized. They were too busy to even realize that 7 years old is like too young to be left home alone, but we're the generation that survived. They were too busy in their work life that they literally had no time for their families. Or they were caught up in their drugs and alcohol or their pain. This is also the era where women wanted to be treated like men. They wanted to be equal. And they worked long hours like men did, making them busy working women. No time to be full-time moms or part-time moms. Because some women worked so hard to climb the corporate ladder that they had no time, that literally had no time to be a wife or a mom or a homemaker. And all of their focus went on climbing the corporate ladder to get where they are or where they wanted to be. No judgment. It's just what it is. Our parents were really busy doing their own thing. We were the kids that were home alone without adult supervision for long periods of time. We were on our own a lot. Most of the time. We were on our own most of the time. We had to figure out survival on our own. We had to make our own lunches. And if we were the oldest, we had to, kind of look out for the younger siblings and take care of them and make their lunches and make their dinners and, help them with their homework. Some of us even had siblings that were so young that we had the responsibility to change diapers when, some of us even had to go pick up the baby from the babysitter on our way home from school and had the responsibility of raising a tiny little baby and changing diapers and, feeding a little baby. We did our own laundry. We did our own homework with no adults to help us. We had no adults to ask for help. However, there was, for me, I don't know about you guys, but for me, there was a number that we could call, and it was for the homework hotline. And it was for kids that struggled and they needed like extra help, like a little bit of a tutoring. You wouldn't get the same person all the time. Sometimes it was even kids that volunteered, older kids, like high school kids that would volunteer to help other kids like me. Maybe they got extra credit for it. And sometimes it was teachers. Sometimes it was teachers from other districts that would answer the homework hotline to help us out. And most of the time it was for like math homework. I don't know if anybody called for anything else. I know I called a couple times for math homework because I was afraid, I didn't want to fail math. So I was, like, oh man, I got to get this math homework right, because we had a teacher that would check how we did, how we got the answer to certain problems. So I called the homework hotline sometimes to help me out, to get the help that I needed to help me figure out my math homework. But I only did it maybe in like, I don't know, I think it was like 5th grade. I don't remember calling it after 5th grade. I think there was just one time in my life in the time period when I was in 5th grade that I needed to contact the homework hotline to have somebody talk to me and help me out with my math homework. Lots of parents were just not home to help us. So when we got out of school, we were on our own. We had our own set of keys, And we were told not to lose this set of keys. So a lot of us, wore these keys on like this little bungee cord on our hand or, around our neck. But we were not allowed to lose that house key. So we had our own set of keys to the house, and we would go home. We were expected to do our chores. We were expected to do our homework, and we were expected to make dinner. We were like boss babies. We just were like miniature adults, young adults. We were adulting at the age of 7. Some of us were adulting younger than that. If we did not do these things, we wouldn't eat. But not only would we not eat, if we didn't do like our chores and our homework and stuff like that, or take care of our siblings if we had siblings, or even take care of ourselves because we were expected to take care of ourselves, we got disciplined. I got disciplined with the belt if I didn't do what needed to be done or what was expected of me to do. So I was like a 7-year-old mom and nanny and wife. That's how I felt. Like I was 7 and I had all these roles, and I didn't get to be 7. I don't even know what it's like to be 7. I was an adult, like a lot of you. And if I did do what I was supposed to do, and if I did get done what was supposed to get done, I didn't get recognized for it. Nobody gave me like an ice cream or a cookie or a pat on the back and told me I did a good job or I'm proud of you. I knew I did good if I didn't get hit with the belt. That's how I knew that I was doing good, because I didn't get disciplined, so I was on the right track. We were neglected emotionally. Nobody ever called to check on us, to see if we even made it home from school, or to ask us how our day was. And I walked almost a mile. Maybe it was a mile. I was just shy of a mile, I think. That's why I didn't get to take the bus. And it wasn't by much. So I walked to and from school at the age of 5. But I had other people to walk with me when I was 5 and 6. But when I was 7, I walked alone. Sometimes I met up with friends and I walked with friends. And I crossed major highways and intersections. And the only adult that I would see on my way to and from school was the crossing guard. Her name was Juliet. She's the only adult that would ask me how my day went. And she would tell me to get to school safely or get home safely. And don't talk to any strangers. Stranger danger. That was instilled in my head. Don't trust anybody. Stranger danger. Nobody ever called to see if we ate anything or if we had anything to eat. And nobody called to see if the house was warm. Did we turn the heat on? Did we burn the house down because we were trying to cook something to eat? Yeah, we were like forgotten. That's how I feel sometimes. When I think back, I feel like we were forgotten. Then I think about the kids today. No wonder why the kids today are not like the kids we were, because a lot of us were so neglected that we helicopter our kids. We call them constantly, text them. At least I do. I'm guilty of that. I'm like a helicopter mom. I don't mean to be. It's just, I never had anybody call to find out if I was okay. Did I make it safe? Did I get to and from my location, to work, to school, to the store, whatever, safe? Sometimes I'll text my kids and be like, I'm running to the grocery store. I'm by myself, so that they can trace where the last time they had communication with me, just in case I ended up missing or something. I'm always in communication with somebody all the time. I check on my kids all the time. I hit them up all the time. Even if I'm not calling them, I'm texting them, making sure they're okay. Do they have food? I have older kids that don't live with me. Do they have food? Are they safe? Are the grandbabies safe? I'm always checking on them. But I tell you what, they don't have the same work ethic that we did when we were little. And that's because we had a lot of responsibility, because we had to have a lot of responsibility. My kids did not have to have the responsibility that I did. So it worked out. I mean, I'm not really complaining. It's not about that, anyways. It's about the emotional stuff. I don't mind all that other stuff. I really don't. I didn't mind it when I was a kid either. That, did I say emotional stuff? I do mind the emotional stuff. I don't mind all the responsibilities, like the cooking and stuff. In cleaning and being like the mom, the housewife, and the child, that was annoying. But having to have that responsibility wasn't the issue, really. The issue was there was no emotion. There was no love. That's the issue here. There was no contact, no communication. That's the issue. Nobody helped us with anything. And again, it's because our parents were really just really busy doing whatever it was that they were doing that kept them busy, no matter what it was, whatever it was. If it was work or addiction, it was still keeping them busy. No matter what it was, they were busy. A lot of us were raised in a single parent home. My parents divorced when I was 10. I remember the drama of them falling out of love. When I was 7, their arguments were traumatizing. It's traumatizing to hear your parents argue when you're 7. You're a little kid, you're a little innocent child, hearing people yelling at each other, crying, screaming, throwing things, saying mean things. That's fucking traumatizing to a child. It's scary. The raised voices are scary. The anger is scary. The chaos that's happening through all of the drama and everything that's going on is scary. I remember hiding. I would hide with my brother. I'd curl up in his bed with him, and I'd go into a little ball and be like, make it stop, make it stop. And I would cry, and my heart was beating fast. Sometimes my brother was crying, and we would sit under the blankets, and we would just sit there and be really still and quiet, but cry because we were scared. Sometimes we would hide and cry because their heated arguments were just scary. And also, when we were younger, divorce was something that no one really talked about back then. When I was a kid, when you were a young kid, you didn't talk about, my parents are divorced. You didn't want people to know that your parents were getting a divorce or that your parents were divorced. You didn't want people to know that you didn't have a mom or you didn't have a dad. If your parents were divorced, you were like the reject child, the reject kid for having only one parent. I don't know why it was like that, but it was like that. But by the time I got into 7th grade or something like that, mostly all of my friends, came from single family homes. So it wasn't a big deal by then. But when you're little, it was a big deal. So for me and other Generation X people out there and Indigos, there was a lot of emotional stuff going on. We didn't have a lot of people to talk to, and our emotions were not seen as important. This is what a lot of us are trying to heal within ourselves, is the dramas and the traumas of our childhood. And now our parents are older and they need us. And we're broken. And we're emotionally broken. We're emotionally damaged. A lot of us are, not all of us. Okay? And many of us are struggling because we are not, or we were not taken care of as children. But now we're expected to take care of the ones that neglected us, that didn't show us love. that didn't show us how to care. We were like kids that just had to figure life out. It was just like, figure it out. You want to eat or starve? Figure it out. You want to get beat or not? Figure it out. You want to get an A on your homework or a D? Figure it out. We just had to figure it out. Figure it out. Life, figure it out. You want to live? Do you want to die? Figure it out. That is creating a lot of issues for a lot of us that are around my age, the Generation Xers, the second and third grade, I don't know why keep saying grade, second and third wave Indigos. That's what's creating a lot of issues, especially if we are unhealed. So don't let anyone in your life tell you that you shouldn't feel that way, whatever way you're feeling. Don't let anybody tell you that you shouldn't feel that way, or that you shouldn't be, the way you're being, or that life shouldn't be that bad for you because someone else has it worse than you. Don't let people tell you that. Remember, with trauma, it's more about the impact and less about the events. It's the impact. For me, it was the emotion. I don't care about all the other stuff, the events of cooking and caring for my siblings and walking home from school alone. It's the other stuff. It's the emotional stuff. That's the traumatic stuff for me. It's the emotional stuff. Well, walking home from school wasn't bad, but the alone part was kind of like, back then I didn't know it was bad, but apparently it took a toll on me because I'm like this helicopter mom that's never letting my kids do anything alone, especially my daughters. I'm like, what do you mean you're going to the store alone? Your man ain't going with you? Your friend ain't going with you? Oh, hell no. Like, I don't want anybody to be alone. There's a lot of shit that happened to me when I was a kid and I was alone. I almost got abducted by this old man from a barber shop. He followed me all the way to school. And the crossing guard, Juliet, is who saved me and called the cops. One of my dad's friends came to the school to pick me up from school. I had not a fractured ankle, a sprained ankle. He must have known, but he came to the school and said that my dad told him to pick me up. But my ankle was at this point, at the healing point where I had to walk to school with, the crutches anyways. But I was at the point that I was able to walk home without the crutches or something. But he must have known I had a sprained ankle because he came to school and he said, my father told me to pick you up. And I was like, that's weird because I really barely knew the guy. Good thing stranger danger was instilled to my brain. I mean, I knew the guy, but he wasn't like one of my dad's best friends. Like, he came around, but he didn't come around like the other friends. So I didn't understand why my dad would send him, even though I knew him. And I remember backing up and saying, no, why didn't my dad tell me in the morning time that he was going to have me picked up? So as I went to run away from him to go run up the stairs, he grabbed my foot. And this is at the end of the day. I was in 6th grade. This is the end of the day when the bell rang and all the kids were coming down. I screamed. When I screamed, he let go of me. He ran down the stairs and I ran to my teacher, Miss Naiman was her name. And I told her. To this day, that man has never, ever came back to my dad's house. Ever. I was molested by my mother's boyfriend. There's a lot of shit I dealt with as a child. I was 9. So there's a lot of things that I deal with in life that as I'm healing, a lot of light is being shed on my past that I shoved to the back. Pandora's box, I guess. And now that I'm working on myself and I'm healing and I'm going through my awakening consciously and I'm doing the inner work and the shadow work and all that stuff, Pandora's box opened and I have to deal with this shit. All of this shit's coming out. All this shit that I didn't even realize happened to me is coming out. Things that I don't want to remember that I suppressed are coming out. Now I have kids. And I don't want any of that to happen to my kids. Now I see all these stories on TikTok of people talking about abduction, going to Walmart and shopping, and all these crazy, I'm like shivering right now. It's like, I feel traumatized. They're alone. And a lot of these people live in small towns like I do. I live in a small town now. Some of these people come from big cities. This is happening in Jersey, in Texas, in New York, Ohio, a lot of places. Women are getting trafficked. Children are getting trafficked. A lot. And people don't care anymore. And as I work on myself spiritually, a lot of this stuff is coming out. And sometimes it's just too much. Too much. A lot of things from my childhood about how my parents were, how I was raised, why I am the way I am with my parents, the relationship that I have with my parents, the attitude I have with myself, my children, my relationships, my friends, myself. Did I say myself? It all stems back. I trace it all back to my childhood. The relationship that I had with my siblings, because my siblings, they don't talk to me, but the relationship that I had with them, the behavior, my behavior with them, it's like I felt they owed me something and they should have respected me like I was their mom. You know what I mean? And I'm just their sister. I was really close to my brother, but we don't have that relationship anymore. But it never dawned on me that they could be dealing with their own traumatic shit from, when they were growing up. And I left home when I was 15. So I left them with my dad and his friends. So I don't know what happened. They could have been dealing with their own shit. And I never really took that into consideration until I started to heal, and do the inner work. That's partly why I did this video too. So remember, with trauma, it's more about the impact and less about the event. We all have our journey in healing. We should never betray ourselves on our values. So with that being said, if no contact is how you need to heal, meaning to cut your parents off or your siblings off or whoever off in your life so that you can heal, then that's how you need to heal. And if forgiveness and being the better person or the bigger person is your way of healing, then that's the way that you need to heal. So be true to yourself, whatever that means to you. The longest relationship that we ever will have in our life is the ones, that we have with ourselves. We have to live with ourselves and what we choose to do to heal. I hope that this video resonated with some of you guys out there. It wasn't meant to be any way rude or anything like that. So hopefully I didn't come across as in rude or, I don't know the word I'm looking for. I just hope that this video is helpful and shed some light into some areas that needed light to be shed in. All right, guys, I love you, guys and girls, all you souls out there, all you beautiful souls. I love you. Be kind to yourself. That's the most important. Be kind to yourself. Love yourself, honor yourself, and be grateful that you survived. You survived your childhood. If you were, and had a childhood anything like mine, you're, divorced, addicted parents, but all in all, it in the end, it worked out. I'm healing. It made me the person, the woman that I am today. Um, my mom is a different person than she was when she was younger. My dad's kind of a different person than he was when he was younger. My dad's sick too, so he's not an easy man. He never was an easy man. Um, but going through my healing helped me understand them, because maybe how they dealt with their lives, results back to their traumas from their childhood, and they're just unhealed parents that had children. So I have that understanding, and that understanding helps me, in my healing process. I'm not bitter with them. I didn't shut them out of my life. I don't have a no contact, with them. I'm in contact with them with boundaries, of course. Not to say I'd never had no contact, because there were times I did do the no contact thing just so I could heal, but they're a lot older now. So I don't, in my opinion, the no contact thing is not my way of healing. But I mean, if it's the way others need to heal, then that's the way that they need to heal. And there's no judgment there. And I'm learning that now. Before, I was very judgmental about that. And I thought that that was really cruel. But we all have our own ways to heal. So mine are a little bit different with the path that I'm on. And remember, your path is individual. So you have to do what makes you happy. Because if you're not happy, then what's the point of living a miserable life when you're the one that controls your life? So if you're not happy, you need to make those changes. I love you guys.